You know, it's fun to get excited about deer hunting. And when you got a new place, and we've got one in Central Texas that is blowing our minds. Ever since we found this place, the owner's been sending us trail cameras and footage, and it's driving Mr. Producer crazy. We all know how excited he can get. Well, opening day's rolling around. The producer's en route, he's coming to Texas, and those deer are gonna be in trouble.
In the summer of 2016, Lamar and I stumbled on a property, a little town called Cherokee, Texas, about 80 miles west of Austin. It turned out to be an incredible whitetail destination, just has got a native hill country genetic on it that's unlike any that you've ever seen before. You know, the hill country has gotten a rap for having smaller bodied deer with pencil thin horns, but I'm here to tell you this ranch is not that at all. Lots of, you know, good mass, good body size, big deer. You know, they're not your typical South Texas deer, but you know, it's one of those types of places where you won't believe it until you set foot on there and you see what he's got and you see what he's been able to build. But I'm telling you, it's a fantastic place. You know, Lamar and I, we drove out to Cherokee and we met with Rodney, and we took a look around his ranch. We drove around, and you know, we were impressed with what we were seeing. And when Rodney started pulling out some of the pictures that he's taken, some of the trail cam pictures that he's gotten, it immediately perked us up and piqued our interest. You know, just like any property you set foot on the first time, you want to get an inventory, you want to learn the lay of the land, what it holds. So we had some trail cameras, and we got Big and J to send out a pallet of BB squared and deadly dust. You know, Rodney, when we brought this Big and J out there, he was very hesitant. In fact, he told me this is another snake oil, and I think in the past he's had some bad experiences with some attractants. And I told him just give us a chance. Put this Big and J out there and see what happens. I promise you won't be disappointed. Well, he was a bit apprehensive, but that first night changed his mind.
When Seth and Lamar came to me with this stuff, they handed me this bag, and I was like, what are you kidding me? Here's another snake oil product. I'll eat my crow. I put the stuff out, I've set the cameras up, and the stuff works. I kid you not, I've got trail cam pictures, which BCM now has, to prove first night out, I had big deer. I mean, I'm talking 160, 170 inch deer the first night out, had their nose in this stuff like it had been there all along. It's helped us pattern a lot of these deer. I mean, I can tell you where a lot of these deer have been, where they're moving, just because of that Big and J. They get addicted to it.
Now in Texas, if you're an MLD level 4 ranch, you work in conjunction with state parks and wildlife. So that being said, you can start rifle hunting on October 1, and that was our goal. These 2 deer, we had pattern. We knew exactly where they were living. We had tons of trail cam pictures of them on the Big and J in the mornings, in the evenings, in the afternoons, and we felt like the best opportunity was going to be the first of season. They weren't bothered, they had no idea, no guns had gone off, there was no pressure. That was our plan. Lamar and I was going to get there in early season, do our best to try to get these 2 big bucks on the ground.
Brush Country Monsters is brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles, the most accurate hunting rifles in the world. Yeti coolers built for the wild. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, real Texas barbecue. Safari Club International Foundation, first for wildlife. And Hoff Power Auto and Outdoor Stores, over 50 years in Central Texas, and we couldn't have stuck around this long if we were steering you wrong. Brush Country Monsters is brought to you by Chupacabra Rub. Put it on meat, put it on veggies, put it on Texas. Swarovski Optique, see the unseen. Hart Rifle Barrels, unparalleled performance, handcrafted one at a time. Burger Bullets, shoot better, shoot burger. And John Burrell's High Adventure Company, the finest collection of big game hunting, wing shooting, and sport fishing destinations in the world.
For this hunt, I'm hunting with a brand new McWhorter 7mm STW. It's shooting the 195 grain Burger Elite Hunter, and it's topped with a new Swarovski X5 5-25 by 56. It's got the A3 Sporter stock on there with that new non-slip grip that McWhorter's come up with for their stocks, and it is a tack driver. I love shooting this rifle. So when we get to camp, we get all settled in, that's exactly what I want to do. So with 2 bullets downrange touching, I knew I was ready for the next day.
I think the 7 STW is ready to go. What do you think?
It never gets old, does it?
No. Man. Oh.
You know, Rodney and Lamar and I were all looking at camera pictures, and we had printed some out. We're all sitting around the table there, and I could not believe the amount and the size of the deer here. You know, Lamar was able to take that 184-inch giant the day before. I could not wait to get out to the blind and see what was going to happen. We've been looking at this big buck. We've nicknamed him Double Brow.
Yep.
He's probably 22 inches inside, just points.
Massive deer.
You just don't see deer like this just every day.
No, he's one of these. He's a special deer.
But we've been running Big and J for what, about a month now?
About a month.
And all kinds of trail cam pictures of this deer. We've got him patterned mostly in the afternoon.
Yeah, a little bit better in the afternoons.
Real early morning or afternoon.
Late afternoon.
This deer, we have numerous pictures of him in the afternoon, not any in the morning. So we kind of felt like, you know, we can't sit at camp. We've got to go out there. But I kind of had a feeling that morning was going to be a bit slower. It was just going to be some fact finding to see what was out there.
Rodney, there's a little about 2-year-old buck right here. Late point about 40 yards from us. Okay, yeah, he's going right. He's gonna cross right here in front of us.
Immediately the deer were coming in. We had some young bucks and some medium-sized bucks, but one particularly awesome deer walked out. And guys, this was a beautiful big 10-point. You know, he had long G2s and G3s. They almost touched. His main bees sweeped around. Easily a 160 class, but he had some shorter G4s on the front. So I nicknamed that deer Short Fours.
Old deer characteristic. He's got that deep chest. He's sure looking at us again.
I'm not gonna lie, when that deer came out and I was really studying him, it was very hard to pass because he was one of those deer we had picked out in the trail cam pictures as being old enough to take. You know, as tough as it was, I held off because I knew in that area there was a 180 class huge buck that we were nicknaming Double Brow, and so I did. I held off. I tried my best because I just, you know, I felt like it was a beautiful buck, and you know, I just knew I had to give him an opportunity and give him that afternoon hunt and see what would happen. You know, we're going after a big buck we've nicknamed Double Brow. Huge, just 20-inch plus wide buck, all kinds of points and kickers.
He's a good deer.
Early season, it's gonna be about 75. It should cool off nicely this afternoon.
Yep. No, I think we got good chance.
Hopefully we can get him on his feet. The afternoon hunt was finally here. It was warm, it was hot, it was typical early October in Texas. We got up in the blind, we're fighting the heat, you know, not a lot of deer. It wasn't long, the sun starts, you know, sliding down, the shadows are getting longer. Wouldn't you know it, here comes short fours.
That's that short four. Yeah.
Just an incredible deer. So now I'm getting the second chance to look at this buck, and I'm studying him, and I'm thinking hard. But you know, in the back of my mind, I said to myself, I want to wait on this deer because that would be a perfect buck for my buddy Jonathan. I'd already invited him to come out and hunt with us, and I knew he would be there in about a month's time. So I thought, let's not try to shoot this deer. Let's try and give every chance of opportunity we can to see if we can get Double Brow.
Brush Country Monsters is brought to you by Big and J Long Range Attractants. The aroma is super strong, the range is super long. Borden Accuracy, makers of the Rimrock, Alpine, and Timberline custom actions. The G7 BR2 Ballistic Rangefinder, built for the first shot. Swagger, the bipod with moves. Revolution Safe Company, inspired by Pendleton, rotating gun management made simple. And New Breed Archery. No hype, just hunt.
The sun's setting, it's getting late. I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to get a little worried. I'm thinking, you know, first day of my hunt's gonna come and go, no sign of Double Brow. We're all sitting there in the blind, just relaxing, watching all the deer in front of us, and something told me, look to the left. I picked up my Swarovski binos.
Over there to the left.
I looked up to the left, picked up my binos.
Let's see. Good spot.
And all I could see was this giant frame of a deer walk out, and it looked like a tree on top of his head moving. There was no doubting who it was. It was Double Brow. You know, we had plenty of light. I get my gun, I stick it out the window. I have some shooting sticks in the back because honestly, guys, I want to take every opportunity I can to take nerves out of the equation. I got the gun out the window, front sandbag, settled in. He's making his way to his left. He moves in front of the stump, and I said to Chad, my cameraman, I said, let me know when you're ready.
Good shot.
Good shot. Good shot.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I didn't have enough time to get
You didn't have time to get excited.
When he was looking straight at us, all I could see was just, I mean, it was so wide I couldn't even see it in the scope.
That's awesome.
I see a big old rack.
I see it. And
What a giant. Oh, Rodney, he's not going anywhere. Hold that for me. Look at this. Holy smokes.
that is a great deer. Look at this mass.
I'm just,
He carries it all the way out.
I am just speechless.
That's an awesome deer.
Look at this thing. I mean, everything about him. Chocolate horns, split brows,
Lots of character.
all this beating. You know, I was shooting this McWhirter 7 STW with the 195 Burger Elite Hunter, and it just hammered him. I mean,
He dropped. He dropped immediately.
in Alabama we call that DRT. Dead right there.
Dead right there.
So
Yes, sir.
that is a giant.
That's a big deer, pretty deer.
I can't thank you enough. I swear.
I'm glad you had a good, successful hunt.
It was the end of a perfect day. I'd shot a 191-inch giant, and we're going back to the trailer, and we're going to celebrate Texas style. We got Rudy's.
There's no better way to wrap up a successful hunt. That's right, it's Rudy's night.
Today we're going to start our series on the elements of a custom rifle, which are
It's your action, your barrel, your stock in the bedding, the trigger, the overall aesthetics of the rifle, your optics, and of course custom load development.
We're going to start with the foundation of every rifle, which is the action. Jim Borden of Borden Custom Accuracy has been making us action for a long time. Jim's an engineer by trade. He brings bench rest tolerances to a hunting action. The action is tight, it's true. The features include a side bolt release, a one-piece PVD bolt, and a Seiko extractor. This is a very tight but repeatable action. We love it. In addition to this year Jim has come out with a titanium action that is the exact same action but in a titanium version, which is 10 ounces lighter. So that sheep rifle that you always wanted is attainable using a Borden action. In addition, he's come out with a mid-length action that's good for calibers such as 6.5 284 or the WSMs, which we call tweener calibers. So this will allow you to seek the bullet out and still fit in the magazine box of this new action without losing case capacity. So Borden's basically got any kind of action that you need for any use. They easily let us meet our half-minute accuracy guarantee, so this is the only action that we consider using.
So join us next week as we continue our series on components of a custom rifle, and we'll talk about barrels.
And that's our on-target tip of the week, brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles.
Fast forward a month, we're back at the Johnson Ranch. Lamar and I decided we're going to come back in early November when the rut starts kicking.
It's early November, Central Texas. We're hunting a blind this morning where we have seen two big mature 8. I think we saw one of them first light this morning when we got in here, but already got some good activity, hoping we can find one of these big 8s we're after.
The morning started creeping on. About 9 o'clock or so, we got out of the blind. We decided we were going to go for a little walk and see if we couldn't do a little rattling. I grabbed the antlers, I started hitting them together, and it started working, and it was no time, and all of a sudden right in front of us we see a big buck, and he's moving towards us. He's moving slow, he's moving cautious, trying to figure out what's going on. In hindsight, he was trying to work the wind and try to get the wind in his favor and see if he could smell what was going on. But he wound up coming in to about 15 yards from us to inspect and see what was happening. Just an incredible deer. And to be able to rattle in a buck like that, whether you shoot him or not, that's a trophy in itself. We rattled a couple more times and brought in some smaller deer, another good deer, but just not one of the big 8s we were after. We're in the blind the next morning. We have our Big and J out there. We're seeing deer. We got some movement. I'm watching all kinds of deer in front of the Big and J, and all of a sudden I see a body come in from the left, and I could tell it's a bigger body, a mature body. And about that time, he took a step forward, and I could see his rack, and I immediately knew that it was one of the big 8s we were after.
That's our big 8. That's our big 8 right there. That's him. Let's get ready. We're gonna take him. Man, they're fighting. Look at him. Pushing that deer off.
So he's headed towards the Big and J. As soon as he got there, he turned broadside.
All right, when he turns broadside, okay. Are you ready?
made a perfect shot. He dropped right in his tracks. In fact, his nose fell right in the pile of Big and J. I had my Big 8 on the ground. So I had a 191-inch giant, and now I had a great, big, mature 8-point from the Johnson Ranch. My hunt, my season on the Johnson Ranch was over. A 191-inch giant followed by a big, mature management 8-point. 2 great deer. What an opportunity to be able to hunt a ranch like this. You know, Lamar and I, we cannot wait to see what the future holds with the Johnson Ranch in Cherokee, Texas.
A 191, can you believe that? That Johnson Ranch is gonna be fun down the road. And it never gets old watching Seth get excited, does it? Until next week, always remember, keep God and family first.